From the MITM Business Consultants
comes Man in the Middle, your one-stop shop for financial tips and tricks that big banks and corporate America won't teach you
and don't want you to know.
Discussing the latest and greatest products, services, skills, and habits to grow and support the financial needs of your business and you. Giving you the knowledge to help make your own important choices for your business and you.
Disclaimer: Man in the Middle expressly disclaims any and all liability or responsibility for any direct, indirect, incidental, special, consequential, or other damages arising out of any individual's use of, reference to, reliance on, or inability to use this podcast or the information presented in this podcast.
Now, here is your Man in the Middle, with 10 years of experience in the financial and banking industry, Art Abrahamian.
What is going on, everybody? Welcome to episode 7 of Man in the Middle. We are excited to be back. We hope everybody had a wonderful holidays and a Merry Christmas and a Happy Hanukkah and a Happy Kwanzaa and a Happy everything.
The whole 9 yards.
We want everybody just to be happy.
Yes.
Today is December 30th. We are one day from New Year's Eve. We're looking excited for the new year. 2022 is looming its pretty little head over the horizon, and we're getting excited and ready for that. So I'm here with the man himself, George. What's going on?
Nothing much, my man. How you doing?
We're doing good. We hope everybody had a fantastic holidays, and, we're wishing nothing but prosperity and success coming this new year for everybody. So
let's crush it.
Today's episode is actually going to be about strategies for existing and new businesses coming into the new year. So we're kind of excited to talk about this because this is something we've been doing with our clientele for this month. Is we sat down with them and we said, what is your business resolution for the new coming year? And it was interesting. It was interesting to see what people's answers were. There was a lot where people kind of did a lot of self-reflection. And I think as a business person, or if you want to become a business person, that's like super important. Self-reflection. And the reason for that is you can't know what's wrong until you seriously sit there and make yourself vulnerable to the concept that something's just not working, and how can you make it better. And we talk about this all the time where we say, when you identify your issues, you have to fix them right away. A lot of the time, it's people who don't want to acknowledge that there are issues, right? It's just, that's just how it is.
That's true.
You have to be able to and willing to accept the fact that your business isn't perfect. And I think with the pandemic and everything, what it's caused for is people realizing that the old way just doesn't work anymore. The beaten path of how to do a business is just not it anymore, which is why you're seeing a lot of big commercial companies changing complete structures. And, we will probably get into this when we have a few guests on our podcast about why this is such an employee market and a not employer market, but it's primarily due to the fact that, just a quick little example, a guy in a small town in like the Midwest has only a certain choice in regards to jobs. He lives there, his family's there, and let's say there's just one big manufacturing plant and everybody works there. So the employee or the employer has no incentive to treat their employees well because he knows they don't have a choice. He's one of the biggest job producers in that small town, and unless this person wants to drive outside of that town or go even further out to get a decent wage, it's just not going to happen. And when the pandemic started and companies started going online, and closing commercial offices because it was something they always wanted to do, but I think it was just they were afraid to do it. They were afraid to invest money in it because they didn't know if it was going to work. And then you have something that shows, well, you don't have a choice now. Well, let's just let people work from home. It's funny because Twitter, I think, was the first company during the pandemic. It was like, great, no one needs to come to the office anymore. You can work from home if you want. And they canceled their commercial lease.
Oh, really? I didn't even know about that.
They started closing a bunch of their offices because they're like, we don't need it. You guys just work from home. Once they realized that it was totally doable, they're like, great, that's an expense we don't have to worry about anymore.
Wow.
But, a lot of small businesses started offering these positions, right? Like these, or not small, a lot of businesses started offering these remote positions. So that guy who works and lives in that small rural town was only making a federal minimum wage of like $7 and a quarter. I think it's like $7.50. $7.50 is federal minimum wage, or $7.25, $7.50. Now he's getting a job in California for $15, $16, and he's still living in his small town. So it's like, we talked about the strategies of when you're trying to be competitive, and there's just no competing with that. So, it's an interesting time, and I think a lot of our business owners and a lot of businesses out there are struggling to find their way because it's just difficult. They don't know what to do, and they don't have the strategies set forth because, there's a bit of an old school mentality that comes with people. So somebody who doesn't like you on the phone, right? Like, but you can't be on your phone. Why not? Well, because I don't want you to mess up. Well, have I messed up? No. So what's the problem? It's just an old, I've had people tell me that it's just an old school mentality. It's just the way I like things done. It's like, okay, well, that's fine. It's your business. I respect that. You do the way you want to do it, but that doesn't make it efficient. You know what I mean? It's that kind of stuff. It's not opening yourself to this is just how the new way is. You have to be on the phone for certain things. Now, I get it. If your employee's on the phone playing, Candy Crush, that's not really
Candy Crush.
But that's not really helpful. But him being on his phone is not really going to impact the overall performance. And until that person proves to do so, where that's affecting their overall performance, then it's something to change. It's just simple things like that. Being the company that people want to work at, we talked about it last time, is really important. But so, segueing into our total topic is, evaluating performances during the existing year. And how do you do that? You look at what worked and what didn't. A lot of times people just run their business and they run it on autopilot. They don't know what's coming in. They don't know what's coming out. They don't know why it's coming in. They don't know why it's coming out. And to them, they're just like, well, it's just been this way for 10 years and we've accepted it. But it's like, no, you need to dig deep into those numbers. Like, what's working and why is it working, right? So if you are selling 10 different products and 8 of those products are a flop and 2 are killers, well, you have to evaluate that performance. You have to acknowledge that 80% of what you're selling in today's market is not relevant to the consumer base.
But I think you need someone who specializes in that. You can't just do that yourself.
You can't.
Right?
Well, I mean, there's basic
on the
understanding. Yeah, it depends on the industry. Like, that's what we do, right? So, like, when we sign on and onboard clients for, like, our full services with our accounting and payroll and management and blah, 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 all the beautiful services we offer, those are things that we do. We have 3-year projections that we do for clients, which measure what they're doing now by cost of goods, their product that they're selling, the amount that they're selling, and we can break it down to its like core product base and what needs to be focused on, and we can do a projection based on that for 3 years to see what the business is going to be generating in revenue. And people love that one. But then there are the people who think that, well, I don't want to pay an outside company to tell me how to do my job or my company job better. And it's like, that's just negligence on your part, right? I mean, the reality is you're an expert at what you do. You're not an expert at what we do. And until you accept that and understand that help is not a bad thing. I was watching Arnold Schwarzenegger last night, and he did a speech at one of the bigger colleges. And he said, you can call me whatever you want, but you can never call me self-made. And he said, I've had so much help throughout my life, and I wouldn't be who I am if I didn't have that help. And he goes, anybody who doesn't accept help just out of sheer, I have to do this by myself, he goes, that's stupid. Because you're never going to go anywhere by yourself. You have to have a team behind you.
That's a good point.
And it's true. Very true. And it's true. I think a lot of the times we think we have to do it on ourselves, or we're not going to do it at all. And it's like, that's dumb. You need a good attorney. You need a good accountant. You need a good business consultant. You need a good team. You need a good you need a whole. It's like, it's not. You just can't do it by yourself.
Yeah, it's like trying to build an empire by yourself. Yeah, exactly. You need a team, man.
Sure, you can make a nice house and you'll be comfortable, but the reality is that house is only going to be as good as that little house that you built. So, I think a lot of businesses who are struggling now really need to reevaluate the fact that they probably need some help. And if they do need help, there are platforms such as us that are out there to help them with that. So, it just comes.
Obviously, there's different programs that you offer, in terms of consulting.
Yeah, I mean, we cater the plan to each business. So it's like, it's not a one. We don't have.
It's not a one-way street.
Yeah, it's not. Well, it's not even just a one-way street. We don't have a one shoe size fits all. It just doesn't. where you're at in your business life cycle, the issues that you're having versus the guy next to you. It's like everybody's different and everybody's problems are different.
Sure.
You might have a killer business concept, but because it's just not tightened up in the areas that it needs to be tightened up, it's not making as much revenue as it should. Or you might have a great idea, but you just have it at the wrong time. That's the thing too. People have great ideas, they're just not having it at the right time. So you have to mold and develop that into the appropriate and that actually segues into the pandemic strategies thing that we're about to talk about, right? So it's like, what are pandemic strategies to increase revenues? Look, we have a client that started their restaurant. Okay,
During the pandemic.
Prior to, like 2 months before the pandemic.
Okay.
Invested $20,000-$30,000 into it. And we were able to get them the money to do that. You know, we got them the money to buy this equipment and everything. And they end up opening their burger joint, and 2 months later the pandemic happens, and restaurants aren't allowed to be open for 6 months.
So what happened?
They managed to stay alive because they had another business that was generating revenue, but their other business was just suffering. It was taking total negative losses because they just literally started.
Right.
And the food's great. We're fortunate that they're still open today. They were able to really capitalize and utilize funding and expenditures in the right way. But it's like, one of the things we're doing for them coming in the new year is shortening their menu. Their menu's too big. From a cost perspective, that's money that you have to pay to hold on to product in case somebody orders it versus, hey, given the current circumstances, we need to cut it down to, like, instead of 30, let's break it down to 10. And how we're going to do that is we're going to evaluate the sales of all those items, and we're going to generate them, and we will, consider the concept of what's called like seasonal items, right? So like you think of the McRib. That thing is the worst freaking sandwich on the planet. I tried it for the first time like last week. Dude. No, whenever it came out, I tried it for the first time, and I spit it out. I took one bite. I was like, this is garbage.
I'll be honest with you.
You love it?
I kind of like it. I kind of like it.
Dude, it was the worst thing I ever eaten.
It's all right.
But it's like, I think you like it because it's a nostalgic thing. Like, you're okay with it.
Right, because it's only seasonal. It's not really around.
But it's a piece of trash.
It is.
It's just a piece of garbage.
No,
food.
I know. Yeah.
Like, I get it. All their food's not good for you. But that, I'm not even talking about good for you. I'm just saying that thing wasn't even edible.
Yeah.
I took a bite of it. I'm like, this is
tastes like rubber.
It's dog food. This is literally dog food's probably better than this. And it's like, no disrespect to those who love it, right? That's not what I'm getting at. But the point is, it's a basic item. It's nothing special.
It is basic.
But when it comes around, people are like, I gotta go get me one of those because it's around.
Yep.
And utilizing simple strategies like just seasonal items is what I told the restaurant. Like, think about that. You think if pumpkin spice was available year round, it would be such a big hit?
Nope.
Absolutely not. It's oversweet. It's not good coffee.
Yeah.
It's delicious because I'm only going to have it for this 2-month window for fall. And Starbucks knows that when it gets released, they're going to be selling millions and millions and millions of dollars worth of it. But they're selling it because they know there's a window. And people tend to love exclusivity. That's just a business strategy that all of you can take home today with you, is exclusivity sells. Knowing that it's only available for an X amount of time because it's an exclusive generates more revenue around it, because people tend to feel like, well, if I don't do it now, I'm going to have to wait till next year. So people who don't even like that coffee tend to buy that coffee because they don't, as a human, we don't want to feel like we're missing out, right? Like, we don't like, that's why when you notice people who like to wait in line for something, they don't even know what the line's for. It's out of curiosity. As humans, that's where the psychology of people, you have to understand to a certain extent. We're not psychologists here. That's not what we're getting at. But there's a psychology to people where we know that you're driving and there's a bunch of cops and sirens and everyone rubbernecks. All of a sudden, traffic has to go from 50 miles an hour to 10 miles an hour, but there's nothing in the way.
Yeah.
But we just stop and look. And we do that because we just have natural tendencies to be curious, to not want to be excluded. And that's part of why I think the toilet paper thing was such a big issue during this start of this thing. Yeah,
well, I think a lot of people thought we were going to be locked down for a couple of months, and so they wanted to
toilet
prepare
paper?
for that.
what is the toilet paper significant? That's what I'm saying. And, I read an article where a psychologist actually explained what their take on it was. And that was because people had never been in a situation such as this pandemic closure that they didn't know what to do. So they were doing the herd mentality of what are other people doing? So they were going to stores seeing that these shelves were empty. So in their brain, they were thinking this is a commodity. It has to be, because no matter where I go, it's gone. So it must be valuable and it must be important. So those people are like, now I need to go find this item of importance because if I don't, somebody else will. And then I won't have any, but everybody will.
Yeah, I think that's partially
That's
a
what
good
the
reason.
psychologist who wrote this article explained it as. And
Yeah.
it was amazing because it was true. It's like,
I mean, I saw it as like, okay, well, I need to prepare because if we're going to be locked down for a couple of months, I need something to wipe my butt with.
yeah, I guess.
You know what I'm saying?
It's funny though, but it's like you look at cultures like the Philippines and the Middle East and a lot of cultures that use something like bidets. They're like, all right, we don't care. We never really use the paper much anyway. But it's
Yeah.
like, and we don't want to get too into it as a gross
yeah.
topic, but it's just like, it's that mentality, right? So exclusivity is super important. If you want to sell your product, don't make it so accessible. Now, again, out of those 8, let's say he's got a menu of 30 items, we can narrow it down to 10 to 12 and then think of some of those items that are okay sellers. But if we created an exclusivity like strategy around it where it's only going to be available during this month and it's only going to be available during this month, it'll bring in more business and it'll bring cost down.
So do you think that the companies who have big menus with so many items, is it because these companies bring in so much revenue every month they can branch out?
Well, it depends. Like in Rancho Mirage, the Cheesecake Factory.
I was just going to say that.
The Cheesecake Factory is a great place to work. And the reason for that is because they are considered a landmark in the city of Rancho Mirage. So the city will subsidize whatever income they need to stay open.
Oh, really?
That's why you can't really get laid off there
Wow.
because there's never an issue of wages. And if they need $20,000 to stay afloat and they only make 18, the city will compensate them the 2 because they're considered a landmark with how much business they generate. So
Now, is that something that happens in different cities?
it depends on cities and
Okay.
typically like Rancho Mirage one, they're considered a landmark for the city. Now they may have, I don't know if that's still the case, but they used to be for quite a while.
Wow.
And that was a thing where it was like, all right, cool, they don't have to worry about it. But big menus, it just confuses people.
Yeah.
Like it's just what it is. And when you're it's different. When you're a conglomerate, see like Cheesecake Factory that makes billions of dollars in revenue, that's different. You can afford to
Right.
play the game a little bit differently. But we're talking about a mom and pop burger joint.
Like In-N-Out, for example, they started off as a mom and pop, and then they franchised the entire company.
Yeah, but they're still kind of like a privately held company too.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah, but their menu's simple. Like one of our clients is actually the manufacturer of their buns.
Wow.
And they've been in relationship with each other business-wise for like 40 years. They've known each other for a long time. The families have known each other for a long time, the bun company and that. And it's like the menu, they're a great example of if it's not broken, don't fix it. But their exclusivity at one point was it was only in California.
And now it's all over?
I don't know if it's all over. I know they're starting to branch. I know they're
Okay.
going to different places, but like that was In-N-Out's biggest thing, right? It was like they were only available
California.
in California. So creating the exclusivity. Something else we have to think about is like online and digital. Restaurants who don't have capabilities of ordering online. I'm not talking about accepting Uber Eats and Postmates, right? Because that's a big deal. But I get it because there's a lot that costs the business owner to have it because they take a big cut. But there was a statistic that's out, and I'm gonna pull it up. But it was
Okay.
like 80% of the world's food was delivered by Uber Eats during
This past year.
Yeah. And I'm gonna pull it up right now
That's insane.
because everybody was staying home.
Huh.
Let me see. It was crazy. It was a statistic that was like over the entire, not just the country, but
Well, I'm not surprised. I mean, that does sound kind of rational, doesn't it? No one wants to go out. Just go ahead and order and have your food come home.
here we go. So it generated $4.8 billion in revenue in 2020, just in 2020 alone. and 152% increase year on year.
Wow.
So they're going to keep doing that every year. They surpassed their $30 billion in 2020, and then they're up to 66 million users internationally, domestically. Now they control, not only did they deliver a big amount, but they control 29% of the global food delivery market. 30%. They literally control 1/3 of the global delivery market for food. You have to think about that, right?
So a lot of things just transitioned over, huh? The monetary system, the way businesses are ran.
Yeah,
pretty much
they
everything.
had to adjust. I mean, you had curbside, right? Like that was the thing in the beginning of this.
That's right. Now
curbside.
Walmart has that too.
Everybody was doing curbside. Even local businesses were like, "Call us, do the order. We'll come come outside with our unit." The thing is, they didn't even have the credit card processing machines to come outside with. So then people from like Square and all these merchant services were like, hey, we've had this handheld wireless device for a very long time, and you just didn't see the value in it. It was a better deal than what you had. It just was new. People are like, I've had this thing for years. It's good. I'm going to keep it. But it's like, no, you have to evolve with business because you have to be ready for things like that. Those businesses that couldn't accept people in their business but had to sell product, well, they had no way of doing it. So they were taking credit cards over the phone, and it's like you were paying more in way of taking it over the phone versus just pay $400 for the machine. You write it off anyways, right? You write that off. Buy the machine. That machine is going to generate you revenue because in the current market of how you have to do business, you have to adjust for that. There are plenty of restaurants. I wish I could order online. Not even delivery, just be able to make the order online so that I can go and pick it up.
I've thought about that. I think it'd be kind of cool.
And when I do that, when I can't do that, the first thing I do is I give them my card and I say, you need help because you're losing a lot of money. I only came here because I like the food here.
And why do you think companies aren't doing that though? They just
think
choose
it's
not
an
to?
expense. They just think it's an expense that they don't want to pay for. But it's like you have to know what's valuable and what's not valuable. And when you're talking about the current situation and everything being online and mobile and digital and it has to be flexible.
QR codes, yeah.
QR codes, like you have to make it accessible to people who that's just how it is. Like banks aren't being utilized the way they used to be because the younger generation doesn't even walk into a bank. They take pictures of their checks. They do the ATM.
That's true.
The younger generation doesn't even use banks anymore the way they're going to use. So what do you think the banks are going to do? You think they're going to keep hiring all those staff? No, there's a reason you only see 2-3 employees at a bank now. Because they're using current situation to push what they've always wanted to push, which was bring costs down.
Problem, reaction, solution.
Right. That's all it is. Problem, reaction, solution.
Yeah. I see that. Yeah.
Because they know as time progresses, there's not going to be a need for branches. There's not going to be need for tellers. There's not going to be a need for any of that. You have a select group of clientele that do need it, and they're going to find some way to privatize that market. I'm sure of it. Or they'll make it less accessible. The point is, you have to evolve with how things are going. And it's like, until you understand that, you're going to stay in the same place that you're staying. So it kind of, digital, be online, be digital, be flexible. And if you don't know how to do that, going back to our first thing, evaluate your performance. What don't you know how to do? There's a service out there that does. We don't expect you to be the professional on this. You're better off paying us to do it for you than you having to have the headache of doing it. But the point is, until you are able to acknowledge that it needs to be done and you need help and that you're just not the expert on this, that's okay. But that's where you're supposed to reach out now. You've acknowledged it. You know you don't really understand it well. Why waste time, effort, and money into something that may not even work? Whereas outsource your knowledge to somebody who's an expert, and then we come back with a plan and say, this is what we're going to do, this is how it's going to help you, and this is where our potential profits could generate. Okay, that makes sense. Great, go ahead and do it. Now, you as the owner don't have to spend 20, 30 hours trying to figure out which platform's best, which one would work best, because there's a million of them. You have to worry about platforms. You have to worry about fees. You have to worry about technicalities. You have to worry about legal implications because it's like, all right, well, now we're doing X, Y, and Z. What are the legal implications of that? So it's just being flexible is super important. And when you don't know what you're doing, reach out to somebody who does.
Yeah, I think a lot of people look for credibility and being reputable too. I don't think anyone just wants to hire someone just because, hey, you know what, I can take care of your money, I'll manage it for you. And I think that's a big responsibility. I think we've talked about this before, but how do you convince people like that?
Well,
you just show them what the value is.
Yeah, and that's the thing is it is funny because we don't chase, we will tell you what we do. We will show you our expertise. We'll tell you how we'll do it because we usually give a consultation for free for people who are curious. Say, fine, we'll do a one-on-one with you for free. Whereas like normally that one-on-one costs them $100 plus, $150 an hour. Our membership's $100 a month and they get one guaranteed with the membership, but that's a subscription base. Some people don't want to be on subscription, but even then the subscription is no contract. And people ask that all the time. Is there a contract? No, we don't believe in contract unless we're doing actual like private work where it's going to require more than a month. Because our minimum overhauls are 3, 6, and 12 months. Those are contracts because we have to have time to do what we need to do. But for like the ancillary services such as the meetings and the one-on-ones and the memberships, it's like there's no contract. And the reason we don't have a contract is because we're confident in our ability. We know we're good at what we do. We know nobody's going to be better than what we can offer for the price. That you don't need to be locked into it. But even then, people tend to be like, well, I don't know. It seems like, and we'll give them the value. We'll tell them why it's important. We'll even show them during an actual one-on-one. But after that point, George, if that person is still overthinking it, we don't even chase. We don't have time for that. Because we're not making money off our membership. It's a retainer. That's all it is. Where we make our money is doing loans for clients, doing investments, doing real estate investment loans, doing private lending, doing broker deals. That's where we make our money off the vendors. We're not going to sit here and spend $800 worth of time trying to chase $100 worth of revenue. See what I'm saying? We know what we can provide, and if the person in front of us doesn't see the value in our services, then they're not a great fit for us. And that's the thing, as a business owner, you have to understand, you're not the only, it doesn't work, it's not a one-way street. It's not just you're not a good fit for the client. The client may not be a good fit for you. Because if a business relationship doesn't start off with trust and understanding that they do have the best company they could have and they see the value in the services, then the entire relationship is going to be me having to constantly prove to Johnny that the service he's paying for is good and he's getting his money's worth. And that's not a good business relationship, right? That's like being in a relationship where you have to continuously tell your partner why you were a good choice for them.
Yeah, that's a tough one.
You know what I mean? So I think there's a takeaway for a lot of people is that you don't have to, it doesn't work one way. The customer is not the only one that chooses you. You can choose the customer too. Sometimes they're just not a good fit for us. Their attitude, their needs, it's just not what we do. And we're not going to try to morph and bend and turn our company into something that it's not just to facilitate one person. But we will have we will have resources for that person. Again, it's not how you say things, or it's not what you say, it's how you say it.
Yep.
And I've been telling you that for
years, my friend. Years.
Where it's like, we can say the same thing, but the way that we deliver it is what will determine how the perception of what we said is done.
Yeah.
Here's an example. So we're not going to take you on as a client because it looks like what you need just doesn't suit our book. And honestly, I don't think it's going to suit your needs either. So, have a great day. We appreciate your patience and your time, but unfortunately, it's just not going to work. Have a great day. I didn't say anything rude.
No.
I went straight to the point. Like, it's just not going to work. But the way I delivered it was kind of like, sorry, dude, kick rocks. And that person's going to be like, wow, I'm never going to talk to this company. Anybody I talk about with this company is going to do this. Versus, Mr. Smith, after evaluating your business needs, we were able to determine that we just don't have the resources necessary to provide you the service that you deserve and that you're looking for. However, before we came to this conclusion that we wouldn't be the best firm for you, we've already reached out to a partner of ours that we've worked with in the past, and we feel that their services are more in line with what you're looking to do. So if you don't mind, we'd like to share your contact information with them so that way we can warm transfer you over to them. If you need anything in the future and down the road you feel like now what we offer matches what you need, we'd love to be the go-to. as of right now, it just doesn't look like we're going to be that fit for you. However, with your permission, as I mentioned, if you let me move over to this client or this vendor, we'll go ahead and get you introduced to them. Great. We did the same thing.
That's awesome.
I did that on the spot.
Yeah.
And, there are clients who ask us to do these scripts on the spot because those things make a huge difference. But that was on the spot
That's
that
awesome.
I just created,
Off
right?
the top, baby.
Off the top. And you have to know how to do that. But the point is, we've accomplished the same thing.
Yeah.
We told this guy kick rocks.
Yeah.
We just did it
Two entirely different
two
ways.
entirely different ways. And you know what? That second way that I just, ad-libbed off the top of my head is more valuable to that person because he's realized you're not being lazy. You've done everything you can. You've already given me alternatives. And I know that this relationship isn't done. It's just not right now. I'll see you later, not right now.
Yeah. That's awesome.
So
That was really cool.
those are the benefits of hiring a consultant. And we don't even have to segue into the next one because that covers it. That right there, that example just covered the definition of the benefits of hiring a consultant. That we have a different approach that may convey the same concept that you had, but because our approach is different, it makes a huge drastic change in the way that's perceived.
It does. That's awesome.
So those are existing businesses, right? Let's talk about people who are interested in starting a business.
Okay. Yeah, let's go ahead and talk about that.
So there's been a lot of people, right? That
Want to start their own little gig.
right.
Give us, an example. What exactly do you do as a person, as a consultant, to get those people started on their journey?
So it depends how serious they are. Because if they're just wanting to talk concepts, we'll help build a business conceptually for them. We'll help come up with a name. If they want us to create the logo for them, we have designers who do that. If they want us to create the paperwork, we'll do the paperwork on their behalf. I mean, we can do it all. We can even do web development for them, and that charges separately. But the way that this pans out is people are just tired. They're just tired of doing what they're doing. It doesn't work for them. They want to be able to say, "Hey, I've had this idea and I'm just miserable." And this business is that. This business is that story. Man in the Middle is that exact story. It's been on my mind. It's been in my heart. It's been on my head. It's been everywhere that I wanted to put it. But it was just, once I got to a level of miserability working for corporate America, it was time to move on. Now, fortunately, I already knew how to do this. So structuring myself was easy. But there are a lot of people who have the same emotions with just being over it and wanting to do their own thing. They don't have the knowledge. Right. And where we come in is we'll sit down with them and determine what it is they're trying to do. What business are you trying to open? What's your strategy? We want to know what's in your head. We can put it on paper and we can fine tune it, tweak it to make it more sense. Because again, it's not our business, it's your business. So we never take the lead. We just simply run in tandem with you. We're always right there with you. We're ahead of you with our thought process, but we're never ahead of you with what we do. We'll always think 3 steps ahead, 4 steps ahead, 5 steps ahead of you because we want to make sure that we're ready to approach any decision you make. But in regards to where we are during the process, we are always right there with you. And this is one of those things is people think you hire a consultant, they're in charge of your business. It's not. We're not running your business unless you ask us to run your business, and we'll figure out a charge for that. But what I'm saying is our job isn't to do your job. Our job is to do the things that you don't know how to do efficiently, much more efficiently. So we will take what you have in place and we will implement our strategy, but we don't, after we do the strategy, we don't stay there. You see what I'm saying? We expect you, after whatever amount of training that we give you, resources, documentation, practice. I mean, we practice with our employers and their employees multiple times. We spend hours on hours. Sometimes it takes 50, 60 hours just in a 2-week span that we'll spend at their place of business just to identify issues, work up scripts, figure out what works and what doesn't, talk to employees. I mean, all the 9 yards. But at the end of the day,
Yeah.
Once we walk out of there, it's not going to work unless you keep doing it. It's like those restaurant fixing shows, those bar shows where they come in and they fix your problem, but the problem is most of the time the owner. Because these things started somewhere. Over time, lack of care, lack of resources, whatever it may be. And it's like, okay, fine. We've brought that to you. We've rejuvenated the business. We brought you the strategies. We brought you the expertise. We brought you this. We brought you that. And the resources needed. But we just can't bring you hard work. Like, we can't make you care. We can't make you. And some people do get rejuvenated in their interest in their own business after a consultant. But it's like, the expectation, even with our members, like our membership with our clients, the expectation is you have to have a willingness to learn.
Yeah, because I think people, after they own a company, after several years, just start to get tired of it. They get fed up with it. And they're just in it to make money.
Right. And that's a mentality.
And then they lose it, right?
And they're like, you're in it for the wrong reason at this point. I mean, I get it, money's everything, but we talked about like quality of life. And it's like, if all your business is just to make money, then
you're going to be miserable.
One thing I've always told people, I said, so this strategy will help you make more money. Well, I don't want to make more money. I said, why are you a business? Yeah. What is the point of you being in business? If you don't want money and you just want a steady paycheck, go work for someone else.
That's true.
You'll make the same money. You'll have less the headache. You just go to clock in 8 to 5 and you're done. That's just what it is. If you're not in it to make more money and to grow and be better, then don't become a business. That's just what it is.
I guess a lot of people don't know how to work under pressure because when you're a business owner, like you work under so much pressure.
Oh, dude, we're always talking to people. We're always on call. I mean, technically, we closed out our year, but we've been taking phone calls, and so we've not even been open for the last week because we're just letting everybody enjoy their families. And in the last week, we've still taken over 72 calls.
Yeah.
It's like, that's crazy. That's all I am on the phone. That's all it is. All of us are always on the phone. Our wives hate it, our friends hate it, our family hates it, but they understand that's just what it is.
And not a lot of people have that, man.
What?
The ability to take all that pressure.
Oh, yeah. I mean, it's different. Everybody's different.
That's why there's a lot of people that are meant to be workers, as opposed to being an entrepreneur.
Being an owner is not, it's a mentality and a mindset. It's not just a title.
Yeah.
You have to know how to manage it. And it's like,
it's all mental too.
Those are the things we talk about with people who come in saying they want to be a business owner. And one of the things that we wrote down here is, what does it take for a business dream to become a reality? And you know what I tell everybody who says that's my dream? I go, do you know how easy it is to dream? All you have to do is close your eyes.
You just got to close your eyes, man.
And go to sleep.
Go to sleep.
That's it. You'll dream all day.
Yeah.
I've dreamt I was 6 feet tall. Guess what?
And I've had a lot of dreams, my friend.
But the point is, those are just dreams. And bringing them into reality, it's not as easy as just dreaming.
Right, yeah.
It's a dream. Everybody can have one. There's nothing special about a dream. Everybody has one. Bringing it into reality, when you start realizing the dream, what the steps are necessary to become a corporation, to become a business, to get your concept from your head onto paper, and what resources that requires, and you know about this. You know about this very well. It's like we've worked. We've helped you in the past with some of the stuff you wanted to do, and it went from this is my dream and it's my passion, and to like, wow, dude, this. It's
a lot of stuff.
Why isn't this happening so quick? I remember that was your thing. It's like,
I was in such a rush.
You were in such a rush, and I'm like, I'm sorry, dude, it doesn't work like this. And you were getting into manufacturing. And it's like, manufacturing doesn't, there's prototypes. We were working with people in Singapore. We were working with people in China. We were working with people in all over the world.
Yeah.
Just to get what you originally thought was going to be
the prototype.
From concept to paper and real. Like, it just shows up, and it's like, no, you have to understand that there's processes involved. And unfortunately, the dream doesn't show you that. Your dream doesn't tell you that.
No.
Your dream just says this concept is a good concept. If that's all it took, everybody would be billionaires.
Oh, yeah.
Because all it takes is the dream.
The dream.
The dream is what you need to have the passion. The hard work is only met by knowledge. You have to know how to take the dream from your head onto paper and into the real world. And you never let sight go of your dream. That's your dream, and you work towards that dream. But the dream doesn't correlate to the work. Just doesn't.
You got to take all the slings and arrows.
Exactly. You take everything as it comes, and it works. It works in your favor sometimes. It doesn't work in your favor other times, and even then, you have to manage your life and the people around you and the people who have influenced your life, and sometimes it becomes too much. Mm-hmm. So
yeah,
it's just what it is. Making sure you start, when you do start, you start properly. And I am going to shout out one of our clients who owns a transportation company, who was a referral through one of our other partners. And the relationship with him has been phenomenal. He's a great client. He's like literally, he is the perfect new business owner. He knows he doesn't know everything. He's willing to learn. He's eager to learn, and he wants to do things right. Went from working in the construction industry to owning his own transportation company.
Wow.
Doesn't want to cut anything. Doesn't want to owe the IRS any money. And he's doing everything properly. Licensing properly. Taxes properly. The way he sets up his company properly. And he goes, I don't care what it costs, Art. Get it done. And he's in our accounting platform. He's on our membership platform. He's on our payroll platform. And he's in our bookkeeping platform. And we do it all for him. And he's as happy as he's ever been. And we've worked a budget that works with his current income. Mm-hmm. So it's not like we're like, it's going to be $10,000 a month and he only makes $1,000 a month. But we know he makes $1,000 a month. That doesn't mean we're going to charge him $1,000 a month because we don't want him to starve either.
Yeah.
So we make it work, right? We'll offer services that work within his budget, but as he grows, our services will grow with him and the cost will obviously grow with that. But his mentality is, I don't care what it's going to cost me because I know the value that it brings to me in my business. And I love that. I love that because he trusts us. Mm-hmm. He knows that what we're doing fairly, we're doing the best we can, and we're doing the right way. Mm-hmm. His eagerness to learn, his eagerness to want to grow, and his eagerness to want to do things right is what makes him successful. And he will be successful. He doesn't think he's smarter than the person he's talking to on the phone. He calls us all the time, and we love that. He calls us to ask us questions on the conversations he just had with a potential contract. He calls us to ask us what he should do when he's in front of a equipment vendor. And the reason he does that is because he understands that it's not his expertise. Mm-hmm.
Yep.
But he has trust and faith in the company that he's hired, which was us, to provide that level of expertise. And ever since that day's happened, he has been growing and growing and growing and growing. And he's told us he's
good for him.
Yeah, great for him. We're proud of him. And he says, how do you guys do it? And I said, the trick to our method is we treat your business like it's our business. The decisions we make for people's businesses, we don't think it's their business. We think it's ours. If I wouldn't do that for my own business, why would I do that for somebody else's? Mm-hmm. And I had this conversation with one of our clients who owns a therapy center. And he said, what? We'd known each other for years because I was the relationship manager when I worked at the bank. And they were like, how did you do it? Like, how did you take the concept to this? And I said, because I've always treated you guys like it was my business. I don't think of you as like my client. I think of you as my business partner.
So that's how you solidify their belief, huh? Mm-hmm. Each and every one of them.
They know what we're recommending. We're recommending because we want to be right there with them, running hand in hand.
Yep.
I say, you're not my client. I'm your business partner.
Yeah.
I just have no interest in this business. I have no venture in this business.
Yeah.
But the decisions I make, the aggressive choices we make, the brokering, the deals we broker because we make it think it's our business. Uh-huh. And we wouldn't do that for ours, so why would we do that for theirs? That's just what it is. And that works. And when you have clients like those two who trust what you're doing and understand that everything you're doing, you do it because you have a reason for it and you explain the reason before you even do it, and they see the value in that and they understand that they just don't want to spend time in that, awesome. Awesome. It's just what it is.
That's awesome. I love that. Good for him. Good for all your clients. Sounds like that.
I'm proud of all of them. I'm proud of everybody who's jumped on board. And, we I'm laughing because I ended up getting a call from, it was weird. We're not signed up for this service. Uh-huh. There's this like marketing system that people use called Bark. And it gives a bunch of leads of stuff. And a client was looking for an accountant and business consultant, but they were looking for somebody who was meeting with them monthly. There's nobody in town that did that. Mm-hmm. So a relationship manager from this company called Bark reached out to us and said, we've received a request from a client that's local to you, but nobody does what he's looking for. So we don't want you to join our platform if you don't want to. We're going to give this one to you because it's our responsibility to find a match for this client. And because we don't have anybody that matches what he's looking for, we're going to give this to you for free. So we called this client. I speak with this dude. And really knowledgeable, really well-spoken. And I meet with him. And he looks young. Okay? I'm thinking, all right, whatever. He's 18, 19 years old kid. This kid's 16, and he runs 2 businesses.
Wow.
He's 16. He's already got 2 businesses. Him and his family do it, but they were his idea. And the family runs it because he can't have it in his name.
Is he out here?
Yeah. He's out here. He's actually, and, you know, I'm sitting here talking to him, and I don't even ask him how old he is. I don't care. It doesn't make a difference. Just from his way that he talks.
Yeah.
I'm like, he's young. He obviously doesn't know everything, and he said that too. He goes, I'm looking for somebody who can teach me all this stuff because I have a great idea, but I want to bring it into practice. And when I asked, are you the owner of the business? And he goes, well, here's the thing. Technically, but no. It's my business. I created the concept, but it's owned by XYZ family members because I'm 16. And I start laughing. And I go, holy shit. I'm like, this guy's 16 years old. But I go, you know what, dude? That's fine. Talk to whoever's the owner. I said, because we only deal with the owners on the account. So one was, dad, one was brother, and we brought them on board because we do membership per entity. It doesn't cover the entire. If you have 7 businesses, one membership doesn't cover 7. But he was looking to get an investor, which was somebody else within this like family group of friends and whatever. And he's like, what do I do? And we sat down with him and we said, well, this is what we would recommend. This is how we'd recommend it. And then, brother and dad signed up for the services and they said, he's our authorized spokesperson. So very great. We'll talk to him. It's no problem. And he put a project together to show to the investor. And I asked him, I texted, I said, hey, any word back from the investor after what we had discussed would be a fair trade of like what the investor wants and what he's looking to get and how they could work that out. And he made a really nice presentation and it was pretty awesome. And I just started laughing and I texted him and I said, if you don't become a millionaire by the age of like 25, I'll thoroughly be shocked. Cause he's got it.
Yeah.
He's got the drive, he's got the passion, he's got the willingness to learn, he's got that eagerness, and he's got what a lot of people wish they had at that, for that passion is the age. He's got time. He's only 16 and he thinks like this. This dude's going to be a monster at 20.
Yeah.
And he's looking for people to help him become that animal so that by the time he's 20, he knows what a 30-year-old and a 40-year-old and a 50-year-old would know.
16. I was skating when I was 16.
It was super impressive. And he reminded me of me because I had that same thing at 16 too. I was always about making money and how I could do it. And I used to take number 2 pencils and sell them for like $40.
You told me about that.
Yeah. So my brother would buy them for like $5 and I would take it from him, the boxes, and I would go on test days. People didn't have the test and there were some teachers who were like, hey, I don't care.
Yeah.
You don't bring your own pencil, you're going to fail this test.
Yeah.
So I bring pencils. How much for the pencil? $20. For one pencil? That's not my problem, bro.
Hustle.
Supply and demand.
Supply and demand.
You want to pass this test? It's going to cost you $20. And I would sell it every time.
Good money.
It's just what it was.
Yeah.
I even had people essentially on payroll. I used to sell candies and sodas, and then I got tired of doing it. So I started paying other people to do it. So I would buy the supplies, buy the duffel bags, and I'd put it over their shoulder, and I'd say, look, bro, you go to school 6 hours a day. If you sell your bag, I'll give you $50 a day.
Wow.
And they were making me like $200 a day, and I cut them their $50, $50. Here I am at like 17, making thousands of dollars a month.
I wish I could have done that in high school.
It's like, there's people who think that way, and there's people who don't, and it's like.
I do remember kids selling candy in high school all the time.
Yeah, well, those kids worked for me.
Yeah, most likely. Yeah,
so it was like,
that's crazy, man.
Those were the things those are mindsets, right? Those are some of the things you have to think about.
Crazy.
There's ways to make money and there's ways to run a business.
Yeah.
You want to be the concept of how to run a business, not just to make money. Because when you want to make money, you end up doing a lot of work.
I guess the best way is learn how to make money and then we can consult you.
To become a business.
Yeah.
Exactly. Is take the concept that you want to make money and let us show you how we can turn it into a business. And we say that all the time.
Yeah.
We take people with exemplary skills and we create a business around it. But the idea is we don't want you to work for this business all your life. We want you to be able to get it to a certain point, step away from it, and then bring somebody else in to do the service side of things while you're worrying about being an owner and a manager and a closer and a, you know, we consulted with one of our clients, and we'll get ready to wrap up here soon, but he goes, I need to hire somebody to be my closer, my salesperson. And I looked at him and I said, why can't that be you? Why are you looking for somebody to do what you should be doing versus looking for somebody to do what you shouldn't be doing? Servicing small accounts. Now that you say that, it does make sense. Since you're going to pay somebody $65,000, $70,000 a year to do what I could teach you how to do and what you know you're capable of doing, versus paying somebody $30,000 a year to do the services that you have no business doing anyways right now. That takes up too much of your time. It's not a valuable use of your time. And that concept like almost blew his mind. He's like, damn,
He's like, whoa, man, you're right.
Like, you're right. He's like, I can't do it. I just need help figuring out how to. I said, we'll give you that help. And ever since then, now all of a sudden, this guy's going for commercial contracts, and we're getting ready to put out an ad to hire some employees for him. And it's like the world of like the concept, it just took a minor adjustment. Like, why aren't you doing that?
Yeah. You're
going to pay somebody double what it would cost you to hire somebody to do the basic stuff you shouldn't be doing?
Maybe all he needed was that boost of confidence.
That's all it was, is that I think that was the issue. And, you know, he said it himself. He goes, when I come here and my eye starts twitching, I know it's you. It stresses him out. And it doesn't stress him out because he's in front of it. It stresses him out because we bring to the table the reality and the importance of why his transition. And, you know, I said it. How old are you? He goes, I'm in my 50s. I said, when do you want to retire? He's like, at least 20 years. I said, you really think you're going to be able to do this at 70? It's like, no. I said, great. So let's work with that. You know what I mean? It's like in mind, you want to do something until you're 80. Like, it's different industries too. I could probably do this till the day I die because it's not on a roof. It's not under a house. It's not in a cupboard. See what I'm saying? It's different. But a guy who's been in construction after 40, 50 years old, dude, they're done. Their body just doesn't hold up anymore. It's like a boxer. Yeah. Boxers are out of their prime after like 25, 24.
That's true.
It's just a certain level of like, there's a window, and when that window's gone, it's gone. It's
done.
Your prime, you only get your prime once.
Yep.
And every prime is different. In your industry, in your career, in your life. So true, it's just like you have to know where you're at, and that's what we help remind them. Like,
pre-planning it all, yeah.
Like, you think you're going to be doing this at 70, but when you hit 60, it's going to start going downhill.
Yeah.
And you want to be able to supplement working less with having somebody there. So it's just, these are things you have to think about. And, you know, one of the common things we bring up to people's attention is like, okay, you die. Now what? What happens to your business? Well, just give it to my kids. Do your kids even want it? There's so many kids out there who, it's weird. My wife and I were talking about this where it's like, here's a business that's built. All you have to do is step into it and take over. And it's like, rather than doing that and being smart as a young individual, it's just not their passion and they want to explore other things. They're like, no, I don't want it. But then there comes a point where it's like, now they're working 3 times as hard to make half the money that they could have been making if they would have just taken over. But it's just not their passion. So it's like, okay. Yeah. So then the owner now has to think, so what do I do? It's like, well, that's where we've sold businesses for clients who thought their kids were going to take over, and their kid says, we don't want it. But they would have never have known that if we didn't have the conversation. So
pre-planning is important, my friend.
Pre-planning is important, and those questions that you're always looking to get answered, sometimes you need somebody to help you figure out that you never knew the answer to them in the first place, or you never even knew the question. So with that being said, we appreciate everybody's time. We wish you all a happy new year. And again, as I mentioned, we wish everybody prosperity and fortune in the new year. And I hope this coming year is a lot more beneficial for everybody. I really hope everybody makes more money. I hope people are in good health. I really hope that life gets somewhat back to the new normal. It's not going to be normal. It'll never go back to normal, but at least the new normal. Yeah. Just something where people are less angry and depressed. That's a lot of what's going on.
We need more of that, yeah.
So, happy New Year's to everybody. If you're interested in following us on our platforms, we have our Instagram, which is MITM Business Consultants. George puts out videos and highlights throughout the week there, and you know, we're putting more effort into that platform. If you're interested in choosing the next topic, feel free to join our membership or just reach out to us on mitm.services. That's our website, and you can watch the video, you can read our articles and explain, get an explanation of what it is we do and how we can, provide the services that you might be in the need for.
Yeah, and drop some comments in the description below. We want to hear you guys discuss it.
Exactly.
A couple of things,
feel free to. These are live productions, and if
Yeah.
you're subscribed to our channel and you hit that notification bell, you'll be able to watch us live and actually be able to type questions during. I mean, George is always monitoring the chat box, and sometimes we get comments, sometimes we don't, but
we can always answer the questions.
if you have live questions, we'd love to answer them as well. So feel free to always reach out. And at this point, we're gonna go ahead and sign out. Again, Happy New Year's to everybody, and we look forward to working with you in the new year.
Happy New Year, you guys. Thank you.
Take care.
Thanks for listening to Man in the Middle. If you haven't yet, please consider liking and subscribing to the show. If you can't wait till next episode, follow us on Instagram at MITM Business Consulting and online at mitm.services. There, you can learn more about what we do, how we can help, and the custom services we offer around your personal needs. Until next time, if you'd like to choose the topic we discuss and receive additional services, consider joining our membership program at mitm.services.
Disclaimer. Man in the Middle expressly disclaims any and all liability or responsibility for any direct, indirect, incidental, special, consequential, or other damages arising out of any individual's use of, reference to, reliance on, or inability to use this podcast or the information presented in this podcast.
We look forward to you tuning in next time.